Good afternoon, my friends. This is the Grim Flare. Hope you're all doing very well today, and we are bringing you another donation league, another deviation from the rock path, but not too far of a deviation because this is another BGX deck. That's right, it is Sultai. Sultai Snow, to be exact. We've got a nice, healthy snow sub-theme going on with some beautiful Ice Age basics, and we have to give it up here to our friend and patron, Teddy Kaiser. Teddy is a member of the tire list here. He is one of the very first Patreon supporters, definitely in the top 10, maybe even in one of my first 5. I'd have to go back to look exactly, but one of the very original supporters of this channel. And those of you who participate in the comment section here will no doubt recognize his name. I respect his opinion a lot. Very intelligent player, very perceptive viewer as well. And he has donated a sufficient amount to earn a donation league, and here it is. Here is his Sultai Snow list. This is a list that he gave me. We didn't really work to tweak it or anything. He just threw it out there, and I said, looks great. Looks really cool. We did talk about one or two things, but mainly this is what he's been doing. So just to kind of give you the thought process behind this, Teddy is a BGX enthusiast. He does main Jund. He also plays rock. He's also, dips into other things, but he's been curious about Sultai. So Sultai is the classic kind of trap deck, or at least it has been for a while, because everyone who watches this channel knows how powerful Discard, Tarmogoyf, and Liliana of the Veil can be, the core green-black cards. And we know that just playing green-black is good. We know that splashing red for something like Bloodbraid Elf is good. We know that splashing white can be good for Path to Exile, Lingering Souls, Stony Silence. Of course, we don't need the Stony so much these days anymore because the oof is with us, but anyway, you understand the point. So that leaves blue. That leaves blue out, and why should blue be left out? Because we have all kinds of really powerful things in blue, like Snapcaster Mage and like Creeping Tar Pit and permission spells. So why historically has Sultai been a bit of a trap? Well, it's simply because the most powerful blue cards don't necessarily gel that well with the core green-black plan, which is to curve out traditionally. We tap out almost every turn for a sorcery speed threat. There are exceptions. There are situations where it's fine to hold up Fatal Push and hold up a piece of permission, but ultimately it just never seems to work out that well. But what Teddy got curious about, and what some other people have been curious about, is whether Modern Horizons has changed that, because Modern Horizons has given us some new toys that do actually work a little bit better along the core green-black game plan, and you're looking at one of them right here, ice-fang Coatl. This is Modern's Baleful Strix, basically. And while I'm very, very glad Baleful Strix itself is not in the format, ice-fang Coatl is not even strictly worse, but it is overall a little bit lower in power level. Still a very, very, very strong card. Definitely a good piece of glue for the deck. We also have Dead of Winter as another snow payoff. A nice main deckable sweeper that is only costing 3 mana, and often some of our bigger, beefier threats can survive it. So we'll take a quick look at what's going on in the deck, and then we'll get straight into a league. We're going to record the league live as per Teddy's request. So once again, thanks so much, Teddy, and thank you to everyone supporting this content. Let's give it up in the comments section for Teddy Kaiser, huh? And so basically Teddy was curious here as to whether, Sultai really is going to be more viable in the wake of Modern Horizons. He, having played this list a while, doesn't necessarily see it as an upgrade on Rock or on Jund, but it definitely seems to be viable here in a list something like this. So, as I mentioned, Creeping Tar Pit is our manland of choice. This is actually very, very nice here from what I can tell, because the one problem with the Sultai colors is it's a little dirtily. A lot of the blue creatures are not the greatest at ending the game. They're good advantage pieces, they're good value pieces. So, Creeping Tar Pit is a good finisher. It's not as rapid of a clock as something like Raging Ravine, but this is a fantastic, fantastic card. Unable to be blocked is big, big game. Beyond that, we have a mana base here that is mostly just trying to be as consistent as possible, while also incorporating the snow sub-theme. So we have 3 forests, an island, 2 swamps, all snow-covered, and 4 prismatic vistas with which to fetch them. I will point out that there is a tension. We have Hex Drinker that we need green for, we need Serum Visions that we need blue for, and of course Inquisitions, Thought Seizes, and Fatal Pushes that we need black for, all on turn 1, and the fact that a fairly significant number of our lands are only getting us a basic, kind of giving us the choice. There is a tension there, but I do think every inclusion is fine on its own merit. Just, I'm new to the deck, be prepared to see me maybe make the wrong fetch once or twice. It can happen. But anyway, this is the green-black core, all of which is very familiar to the people who have watched this channel before or who have seen green-black decks in general. Notably absent is our buddy, the Dark Confidant, but we have ways to replace the value that Bob generates. We do have the ice-fang Coatl, who is a nice piece of glue, and very, very good at trading up on value. The fact that it can be played at Flash definitely is a nice combat trick as well. We have to be mindful of the fact that you need to control at least 3 other snow permanents, so this deck is not really able to have the turn 2 Death Touch with Coatl. We're not playing Arkham's Astrolabe or anything like that, but it is still very, very good in here. As mentioned, we do have the Dead of Winter. Serum Visions is interesting because, like I said, just my kind of amateur assessment of the deck, but it does create a bit of turn 1 tension in terms of what mana we need, but also, of course, is a good way to keep the deck churning through to maybe solve the wrong half of the deck problem that is notorious for mid-range decks, especially in Game 1. Serum Vision's card selection should be able to help. We're keeping the curve nice and low, so I do like it. I don't know how to rate it in here, but I do like the idea of incorporating it. And of course, it gives us something to do when all else fails with Snapcaster Mage. Serum Visions being snapback is a good floor, for Snapcaster. But of course, Snapcaster can do all kinds of ridiculous things. Snapping back a discard spell on turn 3 is really, really brutal for a lot of decks. Snapcaster Unearth is really nice as a one-of in and of itself, and then if we're unearthing Snapcasters, getting like a really nice little value train going. Definitely a fan of that. And of course, Snapcaster for removal is always welcome in my house. So that's our main board. Looking at the side, again, over here we have cards that are very familiar to the viewers of this channel. Teddy and I are of like minds here. We both love the Plague Man. He's playing 3. Love it. 2 copies of Collector Roof as well. Very, very nice. Tripling up on Spellbomb, 2 Surgical, Collective Brutality. You guys all know what this stuff's about. So let's take a brief look at this column. We have Ashiok Dreamrender. Some of you may remember that I tested this card for almost the entire month of May and basically never saw it, so eventually it fell out of my sideboard, but I still consider it a very fine one of even in Rock, and here in Sultai, it definitely seems nice as well. It's basically just as good here as it would be in Rock, very good against Valakut decks, supplementary graveyard hate in those matchups, and good at shutting down other forms of tutoring as well. And on top of all that, it is a blue card which we can pitch to Force of Negation if they both happen to come in for the same matchup. So Force of Negation, as we know, definitely a very, very powerful card out of Modern Horizons. Whether our deck is the very best equipped to use it, no, it's not, because as you can see, we play a metric ton of cards that are not blue, but we should have enough to make this viable enough of the time to warrant its inclusion. I do like it a lot. It definitely gives the deck a new dimension that GBX decks almost never have. And of course, Disdainful Stroke is also a piece of permission that is good in a lot of the matchups where we might otherwise struggle a tad. The big mana decks, the control decks, things like this. Disdainful Stroke can give us a helping hand. So there you go, my friends. Here's the deck. And we're going to get straight into our league. Modern League. As you can see, I was there in the tournament practice lobby. So unlike my Jund videos where I just jump straight in, the literal only two times I've played Jund, you've seen them on this channel. Here I was fortunate enough to be able to borrow the cards from Teddy. Thanks, by the way, again, for letting me borrow the blue cards I was missing. To get a few games in, so I'm not going in totally cold. Shout out to my buddy PJ. We tested a few matches last night, and then I played also a few tournament practice lobby games, so a couple people recognize me in the tournament practice lobby, so shout out to those players as well. Thanks for the warm-up games. And thank you again to our brand new Patreon supporter, Nikki Two Shoes. Nikki Two Shoes is an Inquisitor, so thank you as well, and thanks to all Patreon supporters. Now let's play, and we're off to a very inauspicious start, my friends. We have to mulligan the No-Lander. So we're keeping this 6, and it's a very awkward 6 because we don't have black mana and we have double discards. So I think we're going to keep it, and I think we're supposed to bottom a discard spell, unfortunately. Feels terrible, but I guess that's the play, huh? And the longer the game goes on, you know, before I find black mana, the likelier it is Inquisition will be dead. So even though there are some matchups where I'll regret this, I think I'd bottom Inquisition, keep Thoughtseize, call it good. Alright, let's play some Sultai. This hand definitely has a lot going for it. Just again, missing that early interaction, but... Oh, is this burn? Okay, mono red prowess, I suppose. And draw another Inquisition. Well, I regret bottoming the first one, and now I drew a second one. Okay. We've pretty much got a shock in here. That feels bad too, but... Okay, Serum Visions, Liliana. Okay, so we definitely want to top that Verdant Catacombs. Do we want to top the trophy as well? I suppose so. Let's just put the removal to the top. Okay. Well, here's an example of a matchup where I think the Rock would be way better off than Sultai. But... You know, ice-fang Coatl actually might be decent game here. The problem is it's a little slow to get Death Touch in this matchup. Ooh, no prowess triggers here whatsoever. Very interesting. Okay, because it's a light up the stage, they're going for the value. There's a free land, and they've got a free Monomorphos next time around. Second main phase, Monastery Swiftspear. You got it. Okay. So... what are our options here? I guess we're pretty priced into the Inquisition. The other thing we could do is just plan to flash in the Coatl as a chump blocker. But I think I'm going to go Swamp Inquisition and then Serum Visions. We lose our trophy this way. Whatever. That's a little bit... It's a little bit whatever. See what the opponent's up to. Okay, so they are on Phoenix. Not all of the prowess decks are. Jeez, looting Lava Spike Monomorphos. Well, if we don't take the looting, they will get a Phoenix in the yard. If we do take the looting, they might still find another looting, and even if they don't, it's just kind of a massive bunch of damage. Like, I want to take all three of these cards. They're all very good. I don't know necessarily what's optimal. I don't think we're winning this one either way, so maybe I shouldn't agonize too much over this decision. I think I'm actually going to take the looting and then just take my hit. Plan to, hope they kind of fizzle on these Monomorphoses, don't find too much more gas. Try to engineer a trade with the Coatl. So, sure, we'll just not get hit by the Phoenix this turn, I guess. Alright, we got another Coatl. Snapcaster Mage, it's a little medium now. They're going to spend all their, they're going to dump out their whole hand this upcoming turn. So what do we think about going bot? But we kind of need another... We're just probably not going to get there either way. We kind of have to top this Verdant Catacombs, actually. Because that gives us Liliana. And that eventually gives us Snow as well. So, as strange as this seems, we're going to bottom the Snapcaster, top the land. I still think we're pretty dead no matter what we do. But this probably gives us the best chance to, like, chump block next turn, and then, you know, maybe trade the following turn Liliana Edict, hope they brick for a while, and then maybe stabilize, but opponent's got a big turn coming up no matter what we did here. That light up the stage on turn 1, you know, they were not very quick out of the gates in terms of getting damage across, but that let them set up for a massive turn here. Another light up the stage. Whew, okay. Another Swifty. Goodness gracious. Okay. We are down to 2. And I guess we're just not going to show them anymore, even if they've got nothing else, we're dead on board. So, sure, let's just not show them anymore. So, of course, again, we could have taken the Monomorphose, we could have taken the Lava Spike, but if we leave them the looting, they get the Phoenix back. I think our best bet there was to just hope they had no gas whatsoever off of their redraws from Monomorphoses. Like, just lands and lands and more lands, right? But who knows? I don't think any line really gets us there, so that was a bit of a rude awakening. A bit of a rude welcome to this league. I don't know how interested we are in Force of Negation. I'm pretty positive we're not interested in these cards. Nihil Spellbomb, probably to attack the Phoenix angle of things. Collective Brutality, yes. Plague Engineer, I suppose, yes. They do have very few X1s, but I still think Plague Man is fine. So we're considering these 7 cards. Definitely bringing in most, if not all of them. I think we have to cut Thought Seizes here. And going to be a little bit... I don't know if this is as clear a correlation, if it's as direct a... transfer of my Rock knowledge to this deck as it would be from Rock to Jund. It's a little bit hard to say, but just trying to keep everything in perspective with these blue cards. Like, how good is Serum Visions? How good is Snapcaster Mage? I think both of those are pretty fine to leave in. But on the other hand, what are we cutting? Like, maybe a Tracker. Dead of Winter seems medium, but probably supposed to leave it in. Like, if we're trying to bring in all 7 of these cards... I like the Coatls, I like all the removal Goyf Skoos. Alright, so Collective Brutality and 2 Spellbombs and 1 Plague Man are kind of where I'm rating things the most highly. I guess we're not playing with Force of Negation here, especially because we might be having to cut a little bit away from blue cards to fit in more of this technology. I like leaving in the 1 of Unearth. I think 2 Spellbombs is sufficient, so it's... this is supposed to be a Plague Man. Whether we want to squeeze in another Plague Man or 2, I'm just going to trim a Serum Visions. I don't know how correct that is, but let's go for it. We're hedged, but I think this is fine siding. Fine, unscientific sideboarding. And let's see if we can get there. You know, on Rock, I do consider this a pretty fine matchup, all things considered, but it is a real deck. It is a real tough deck. Alright, so... if we're keeping this, we're keeping it on the strength of the Serum Visions. We're going to fetch and shock in Serum Visions on turn 1. And if we hit, like, a second land, we should be okay. So I guess we're going to keep and get a Watery Grave on turn 1. This is a 22 land deck. Rock and Jund that you're used to seeing on this channel, 23, sometimes 24 lands, so... We are keeping, lower land hands on average. This is a nice low curve as well. The opponent will mulligan. That's very helpful. Yeah, let's hope we don't do too much damage to ourselves here. Watery Grave. Okay, there's our second land. So it's a Prismatic Vista. We're going to get Forest. That means everything in our hand is alive besides Liliana the Veil. Do we want to bottom the Snapcaster in search of more lands? We probably do. But we will top that decay. Alright. Feels bad to bottom Snapcaster a couple times early on, but we're just, we've just been a little bit behind the 8-ball. Can't afford the value plays quite yet. So our options here would be Fatal Push plus Nihil Spellbomb or just Abrupt Decay. I think we're going to go with the Decay. There may be incentives to hold back the Spellbomb a little bit. They'll sequence a little differently if they don't know it's around. Shrine of Burning Rage. Okay. Does the opponent have any free spells we're going to get to draw out? I think they do. They sure do. Looks like that's it. So now we decay the Soul Scar. Alright. Beginning of your Upkeeper, whenever you cast a red spell, put a charge counter, then you tap 3 and tap it. So, seems unlikely that the opponent will just hold up the Shrine anytime soon. So I guess we have a little bit of time to deal with that. Alright, so we failed to hit our third land, so I guess now it's time to run out the Spellbomb. And pass, holding up Fatal Push. Potentially cantripping on the end step if, and only if we didn't need to spend the push this turn, and even that would be kind of loose, but, the Liliana in hand might be necessary. Okay, Monomorphose, you got it. Shrine is definitely a nice one. Alright, opponent is just bolting us, interesting. And then cracking the Fiery Islet, huh? Sequencing seemed a little backwards to me, but what do I know? So, yeah, I think even though this makes us worse against a Phoenix progression that they might still have around, we're going to go ahead and crack the Spellbomb in search of another land or more action in general. We get another Assassin's Trophy. Alright, well, we're definitely taking care of that Shrine this turn, I think. Creeping Tar Pit. Sure. Hit the Shrine. Play the Tar Pit. Pass to you. So we are ahead on resources, but hey, we are down to 12 despite the opponent not connecting yet with a creature. Is it Arclight Phoenix? It sure is. Okay. So we've got the Liliana Edict for this, or what? Dead of Winter does not do it. We've only got one snow permanent. We could also, trophy and hold up Fatal Push, but I think it's fine to use the Liliana here. We're the ones who are going to be on the wrong end of the asymmetrical discard, before long. So, sure, if they can answer her immediately, that's kind of fine with me. Well, they've got a Monomorphos, though, so that's pretty bad. We left them with only 2 cards in hand, so, I mean, Monomorphos into Lava Dart into Light Up the Stage into Mountain and Lightning Bolt. Yeah, pretty much max punished, so I think we're just going to be dead here. We really had to hope they couldn't just recur the Phoenix immediately, but, you know, one reason to lean on Trophy would have been to do exactly that, right? To make it so whatever they do this turn, we could have just popped the Phoenix, but again, with only 2 cards in hand, how likely is that? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe likelier than I gave it credit for. So we draw land. A fetch land at that, not very good. Lava Dart, among other things, including Gut Shot, will kill us if we use that fetch from here on out. So we're dead to many, many things, but we'll play it out in case we need to revolt for push and do have to go to 1. But we're just going to plan to trophy the Phoenix for now. Another way we could have done that, again, involves going to 1, but, you know, of course, Dead of Winter, when we fetch a basic, would have been live. But that was not the best way to do it. And look at that, it's just a Lightning Bolt to the face. GG. Not even close. We got wrecked, my friends. We got absolutely wrecked right out of the gates in this league. What are you going to do? Yeah, opponent had really strong draws. We mulliganed to 6. We kept a bad 6 game 1 against this deck. Yeah, we could maybe have mulliganed again game 2, but we did have a hand absolutely chock full of removal. The problem is the opponent just had an absolute ton of burn in hand, and the only creature they really needed to lean on was that Phoenix. They bought it back as soon as we edicted it the first time, and that about wrapped it up. So, whew, that was a tough one, but hey, that'll happen. Yeah, Sultai, you know, Serum Visions is... its floor is high enough that it's never that bad in any matchup, but not particularly good there. Snapcaster Mage can definitely be good if you're already disrupting well enough. We just weren't there, so that was a case of the blue cards, you know, not quite being as good as what they replaced. But I guess we can say that's a pretty unlucky opponent to face at the beginning of our league, and let's hope for some more favorable matchups to come. Now, this hand is a little bit of a mess in that it's got a lot of threats that are mana sinks. So we've got 3 mana sinks in hand. Not that Snapcaster is a mana sink, but it's a high curve card if we're using it for value, let's put it that way. And then we've got a couple pieces of removal that are not the best early on in most matchups, but it is lands and spells, it is functional. I do think we keep it, but a Breeding Pool, okay. Couldn't be a mirror match, could it? It's more likely that it's Infect or Neoform, and either way, Inquisition's a fantastic draw, so I'm going to assume my life total doesn't matter that much. And if I make that assumption, what is the best land effect? I kind of wanted to get Overgrown Tomb, but with Prismatic Vista, that kind of locks us out of blue, probably, because we need to get these trophies ready, potentially. So how good is it to just get Swamp, turn 1 Swamp with Vista? Then we can, in theory, kind of do everything from there? Sure. It's not ideal. I would rather have maybe two traditional fetches in hand, but either way, Inquisition seems to have been a good draw, and wow, I'm wrong. Okay, this is just some kind of value deck, some kind of Super Friends deck. We have Interplanar Beacon, fixing their mana for Planeswalkers, gaining some life along the way, and we take the only legal take, which is Kaya. They've got a Johnny Vengeant. ticks down to Lightning Helix, ticks up to make a target permanent not untap, and then, of course, Jace the Mind Sculptor. Okay, so Liliana the Veil seems like an okay draw. What do we like doing here? I'm glad we have these trophies against the Super Friend deck. We could play Scooz, but maybe it's better to just run out the Hex Drinker. The problem is it can be bounced, right? But still going to lean on the Hexy here. If nothing else, we can maybe get it to level 4, or excuse me, level 3 of 4/4, so it doesn't die to the Ajani Lightning Helix, and then perhaps they will go Jace on summon. We can trophy the Jace. You could imagine this working to our favor. It's a Field of Ruin. Alright, so we need to get Forest here, I guess. No blue for us for the moment. Creeping Tar Pit. Pretty good draw. Alright, I guess it's plan A, making Hex Drinker level 4. I keep saying level 4. Level 3, 4/4. And then next turn we have the ability to trophy, to Lily, whatever. But now we might be pricing them into Jace on summon. That would be pretty interesting if that ends up being the case. Could be step 1 toward winning this game. Unfortunately, we won't be able to trophy and redeploy Hex Drinker unless we draw a land. But the vagaries of the 3-color mana base against a Field of Ruin, you know, what are you going to do? Jace unsummoned it is. Alright, we called it. So we can trophy the Jace and do nothing else. You know, Liliana is a good draw. But we've just got to trophy Jace, right? Yeah, oh, man. We could also snap Inquisition, but that's likely enough to whiff that I'm not going to do it. Trophy or Jace, pass. It's a shame that this turn had to be so clunky. What if we just drew an untapped land, like an untapped blue land for the Creeping Tar Pit activation as well? So many ways this could have been great. Instead, it is merely good. So we're ahead on resources right now. Kind of have to hope that the opponent is going to flood out here, I think. That's our biggest hope. Ajani can really ruin our day for a little while with ticking up to stop our lands from untapping. But guess that just means we're even more incentivized to make land drops. Sure enough, there's the Ajani. So I guess this is a true 5-color Super Friends deck. We haven't seen any green spells yet, but they play a basic forest, so clearly they've got it. Alright, so they tap down our swamp, we draw Watery Grave. That's pretty good. So, options are... I don't think we want to play Hex Drinker. I think we want to wait till we can play the Hex Drinker and immediately make it a 4/4, at least until we deal with this Ajani. So do we just play a Lily? Take up, get rid of our other Lily? I think I like that. We've got a lot of good value in hand. We've got Snap Trophy that's live. Lots of good stuff to do. Another basic Plains. A lot of basics in the opponent's deck, considering the 5-color the 5-color setup, but hey. And it's a Horizon Canopy being cracked. And an Oath of Nissa. Nice card in these style of decks, without question. It is creature, land, or planeswalker. Yes, and Gideon of the Trials. That's another pretty good card. Pretty good card against a deck like ours that plays relatively few but high-impact threats. That's less true of Sultai, admittedly, than it is of Rock, but still pretty true. So what's the play here? Are they interested in a Helix, or are they interested in continuing to slow down our curve out? They have slowed down our curve out, and they've made the Gideon emblem. As long as they control a Gideon, they can't lose, we can't win. We draw Inquisition of Kozilek. Tempting to cast it, but I think we're supposed to pitch that. I think we're supposed to pitch it. By ticking the Lily up, and, okay, let's start there. Let's see what they do. Probably just pitching another land, I imagine. Yep. Okay, so it's not the most mana efficient thing in the world, but I think we do just want to trophy something. And I guess we're just going to trophy this Gideon. Yeah. Yep, we'll trophy the Gid. We'll pass. We could do this upkeep, doesn't really matter. I don't really want to wait till their turn to do it. We could respond to the activation, which I'm sure would be their play, but I have no idea what else a deck like this could run. Wasn't paying attention, but I don't believe they had a basic to get. I think they already had these 3 basics down. Narset Parter of Veils. Yep. All the Super Friend value. Non-creature, non-land, so another Planeswalker is certainly what they're digging for here. You know, it would be great as if they just whiffed, huh? That'd be pretty cool. But if they get a 3-drop that they, for whatever reason, don't play this turn, which is not the case, deploy the Gatewatch. Holy moly. Alright, well, we're against a deck that just kind of wants to outgrind everybody, huh? Okay, so no Thoughtseize for us. No way to really deal with what they're doing at all, sadly. We can't snap Trophy, snap Inquisition's gonna whiff. Fatal Push doesn't mean much. Johnny's also 2 turns away from just destroying all of our lands. Oh, man. Alright, so taking up Lily, pitching the Fatal Push. Our draws have been middling. Okay, Path to Exile. Interesting. So, I think we actually... I'm just deciding, like, I'm one turn away from the Liliana ult. If we can keep the Liliana around, that's actually huge. And I'm deciding what's better, to play out the Skoos as a chump blocker in case they, draw some absolutely anything, any kind of a haste threat. I'm sure they do exist in the deck. You think of stuff like Nissa Vital Force. Or Snapcaster Mage. And playing the Skoos and using it just as a Grizzly Bear here, It doesn't play around the Johnny Lightning Helix at all, but Johnny is probably priced into Helixing Liliana, and then next turn that unlocks Snap Trophy. So, sure. Let's play out the Skoos. Let's say go. I think that's better than, again, using this is just kind of an Ambush Viper, which is all it would really be here. Unless they give us a Fatal Push target, but seems unlikely. Here comes Deploy the Gatewatch. Deploy the Gatewatch in Modern. What are you going to do? Kaya Orzhov Usurper and Teferi Time Raveler. There's a couple of magic cards. Couple of real magic cards. So Kaya can start eating away at graveyards, although there are not many creatures. There are not any creatures to exile. Teferi can bounce the Skoos. Narset can dig. Yep, Skoos gets bounced. Okay, does Johnny have to Helix our Liliana? I imagine so. Yep. The reach of Johnny's been very good. Very annoyingly good this game. Just slowing down our already stunted mana development, making our already awkward colors worse, and then stopping the Liliana from ult. Okay, Path to Exile. We draw Tarmogoyf. Alright, taking up. So Kaya makes Hex Drinker worse. Does that mean we're pitching Hex Drinker here? I'll say sure. And then it's going to be Snap Trophy time. I guess we're going to wait till their upkeep to do that. And I guess it's going to be on the Igjani. And I completely forgot about Teferi Time Raveler. Oh my god. Oh no. No. Unbelievable. My bad, guys, my bad. That's so frustrating. Holy crap, that's so frustrating. I truly hate every card ever named Teferi. I hate you. I hate you. I'm sorry. There's just nothing else to it. They're all miserable. I'm so not interested in grinding out this Superfriends game in this in this situation. I'm really not. Might just scoop and go to game 2. They've cast to Deploy the Gatewatch against us. They've got Liliana. All right, game 2. Game 2. Okay, so obviously I punted that game. Obviously Snap Trophy was the line, but then they had a Liliana of the Veil. Whether we get there against like 4 Planeswalkers, we're probably just never going to get there. Just doesn't seem that likely. But maybe we can take them down post side. Unfortunately, I don't know if we want much here besides the permission. And the permission, to be fair, does seem pretty decent. 3 copies of that. And we have Fatal Pushes and probably Dead of Winter to cut. Anything else we don't really like? I think it all seems fine. Unearth would be a cut if we had more to bring in, but since we probably don't, let's just leave it because it can cycle as a floor or can pair well, with and against Liliana. What is the best of the rest? Ashiok doesn't seem to do much. Collective Brutality does not seem to do much. Are we interested at all in a Surgical Extraction? Even though normally I wouldn't be inclined to bring one in. Is it just better than, like, grizzly bears? Collector Roof is coming in as a literal grizzly bear might be the next best thing. I don't know how good Plague Engineer is. Like, if they have any token producers, of course he's a lot better, but... Alright, let's just assume that there might be a use case for the Plague Man. And we'll play a Surgical as well, I guess. There are windows where Surgical is okay, even though I don't think it's, like, philosophically correct to bring one in here. There are windows where it's going to be better than a 2-2 for 3. And that's why it's in. I'm going to be very hesitant to fire it off blind, but... Okay, so... Our curve out's looking good here. We'll keep... And I guess I'm going to get Overgrown Tomb here. Take 5. Or... This doesn't let us have a turn 2 Serum, but I guess that's okay. We get Tomb here. Yeah, I mean, we clearly... Yeah, we need green mana. Let's just get the Tomb. Maybe should have thought a little bit harder about how to fetch there. Wall of Omens, Path to Exile, Oath of Nissa, Vraska, Golgari Queen. This is looking like abs in mid-range here, and of course they have all their... They don't have black mana, actually. Do we just take Wall of Omens here? Vraska's an issue, but... So, right now the wall actually doesn't block us very well. It's just pretty loose to leave them with the cantrips in hand, I think. So for that reason, we could actually just take Oath of Nissa. How do we like that? Or just take the Vraska, let them cantrip their lives away. It's actually a pretty tough call. In the end of the day, I'm just going to take the Vraska away. But I believe there are arguments for everything there shy of Path to Exile. Forest into Oath. Revealing a Field of Ruin. Fair enough. Another Ice-fang Coatl. Alrighty. It's going to be an end-step fetch for an island. Flash in the Ice-fang. Alrighty. So we find Tarmogoyf Hexdrinker. So playing Serum Visions here allows us to have like the most efficient turn. We go Hexdrinker, Serum, Tar Pit as the floor, or Serum might give us an untapped land. Alright, we'll lead on that. Inquisition and another land. I don't know if I care to have either of these, to be honest. Actually, maybe we want the other land because we've just got so much action in hand. I'm gonna bottom the Inquisition. But we'll top that 4th land. The reason I'm doing that is because I think it's reasonably likely that Inquisition, will whiff. They might be priced into holding up Path to Exile and other forms of removal this time. Also, Field of Ruin for that creeping tar pit, of course. So, one thing we could do is draw out the path by sinking all of our mana into Hex Drinker, but I don't know that I like that. I think I would rather fetch and lead on Serum Vision, see what we find. So if we're going to do that, we have double black, we have double blue. So we need another green, I guess. Don't know how much my life total matters, but we actually should definitely be getting a basic here, I guess, to provide Death Touch in case that comes up. So, sure, we'll get our missing second green source and cast a Serum. Force of Negation, Disdainful Stroke. I do kind of like those. Really sucks to not have them in hand this turn, but we're going to top them both. Of course, their path may be pricing us into shuffling those away, the path or the field, or indeed both, to be honest, but you got it. So, for that reason, I'm just going to run out of Goyf, make their life a little bit trickier here. What to do, what to path, you know, they're going to utilize one of these effects pretty clearly no matter what we do. So, yeah, maybe casting Serum was not the best there, I'm not sure. Alright. Only one basic island in the deck means we cannot Coatl on the end step coming up here. Yeah, maybe I should have played that one a little bit differently. We do have Decay that we're holding up, which is potentially nice. Pathing the Goyf, you got it. Okay, so, you know, Hex Drinker getting dangerous, at least in theory here. Teferi Time Raveler. Okay. So we'll be main phasing everything until Teferi's gone. Teferi just ticks up. Alright, I'm going to be, I think, happy to decay that fella before he gets any value. So, let's just try to put Hex Drinker all the way up until it has protection from instants. They probably have another path here, but we're going to go for it. Yep. So if we don't decay the Teferi, it's just going to bounce the Goyf. Yeah, let's just decay him. Alright, the Coatl beats are... They're pretty real. They're pretty real. Not a great matchup for the Coatl, but it's such glue for the deck, I don't know if it's ever really supposed to come out. I'm sure it is in some cases, but... You know, and the evasion is nice for pressuring some of these planeswalkers. Angrath the Flame Chained. Oh boy. Going deep in the tank for the techie one-ofs. Alright, let's attack Narset. I actually think I'm going to main phase this Coatl, because if I draw a land, we can just dump the whole board out and play around that Angrath +1. It is also playing into a sweeper, but what are you going to do? You know, they have that, they have that. Oh my god, I didn't play around the Narset. Okay, well, this still does play around the Angrath technically, but at that rate, we could have just waited to flash it in, and most likely would have been better off unless the top card of our deck is something extremely valuable. That would be better to top deck next turn than to lose this turn, but so no relevant fuel for the Skoos as far as I know. Don't expect them to use any graveyard effects. If this flips over a Supreme Verdict, I'm just going to scoop. Oh, deploy the Gatewatch. Another another appearance of this card. Well, it looks like they're just going to roll the dice on deploying the Gatewatch, and I don't blame them. It's a very good effect against a deck like ours. So Kaya doesn't really affect our board, and Renin 6, which can ping a Coatl. And hey, now there's something we can eat with the Skoos. And we'll respond to the Kaya +1 if that's what's going on here. All right. So I guess next priority is to maybe get the Renin 6 off the field so our Coatl lives. Force of Negation, sure. It's actually pretty good. So yep. Guess we're getting rid of this Renin 6. Then we might as well send this one at Kaya. Wall block seems unnecessary there because it could die to, you know, a ping effect of our own if we have like a Liliana the Last Hope in or a Collective Brutality, but it's a pretty minor thing, all things considered. Notably, we barely have the right mana to hardcast Force of Negation. I wasn't even paying attention to that, but that's definitely true. And I'm probably just forcing any Planeswalker here. Okay, well, I'm not going to force the Oath of Nissa. Gideon Jura. Yup. Jeez, they must be really happy they're against a grindy deck, huh? Like, what does this deck do against Neoform? Hey, the permission. I love it. Feels good. Been a while since I countered a spell. It's been a long while. Alright, I think that breeding pool's out of here by now, so we should know about Angrath +1 unknown. And there's nothing worth eating with the Skoos. Force of Negation. Good draw. Good draw there. Alright. Opponent attacks the graveyard but doesn't manage to shrink the Goyf. Snapcaster Mage Thoughtseize. Seems good. Is there any thought to doing Serum Visions instead of that? I don't think so. I think we're just going to snap Thoughtseize. Take away that Angrath unless they have something better. Is opponent scooping to this? Opponent scooping to it. All right, we got there. We got there against a deck that probably doesn't have a ton of game outside of playing against grindy decks like ours, so I'm pretty happy with that. And despite me, not exactly knowing whether we want these grizzly bears, I don't think I saw any other incentives to make me want to play either of those cards, so I'm kind of happy with a 1 of Plague Man as a very overpriced bear that might possibly be relevant if they play like Elspeth Sun's Champion, and a 1 of Surgical that's pretty bad philosophically in the matchup, but that seems okay. Now, they did show us, I guess it's still just basically Path to Exile. Is Collective Brutality at all worth bringing in over either of those cards? Just to snipe a path? Little Reach. Way to finish off a Wall of Omens that's blocked. Do we want this? Is that better than Plague Engineer? It's probably better than Plague Engineer, right? We have enough, like, 2/2s and 2/1s and 1/1s already, so... Sure. Okay. Alright, guys, we can do this. We can take down the Super Friends deck. It's been a long game. I'm probably behind on the clock. So we'll try to play a little quicker this time around. I'll keep it. It doesn't disrupt very well, but it plays a lot of beefy things, and we do have a Liliana of the Veil. Hey, and now it disrupts. We drew a Thoughtseize off the top. Pretty good. Pretty good. Oh my goodness, all the paths, all the Walls of Omens, and a Wrath of God. Yikes. Just going to take a wall here. I don't mind the first couple paths here. We might be able to snap Thoughtseize the Wrath if that becomes relevant. But it's a very Thoughtseize-proof hand. Very annoying. Alright, so we are going to get, I guess, a Watery Grave. And play out a Goyf. So we have Creature, Sorcery, Land. There are definitely some ways in which we can grow the Goyf bigger than the wall that we could top deck. But don't know how good any of them will really be. But either way, I'm going to run out the first Goyf aggressively and then maybe slow roll the second one a little bit more. Because I just don't... Alright, is this a field? Sure. That's the right land to field, because now I don't know whether we want double black or whether we want blue. Tough call. Guess I'm getting blue, but... Oath of Nissa. Sure thing, my friend, sure thing. What's it gonna be? Chase the Mind Sculptor seems good. We draw a trophy, seems bad. Seems so bad because we just got blue. And we can't cast it, so... Bluff attack. Okay. Just playing out the Goyfs now. Makes Jason summon, something that we can possibly beat if we draw the right card. But, for all we know, they haven't found us a fourth land, right? They haven't found a fourth land. Well, and we did. Alright. So... I think we're going to go Liliana. Main phase, On the off chance they play Permission, it'll grow the Goyf. We could also go Snap Thoughtseize, but I'm going to go Liliana here. Now, do we tick up or do we tick down? It's actually a pretty good question, but I'm going to tick up. They just have gas in hand. We have... This Scooz is pretty extraneous here, the first one, at least. There goes their Jace. At least one of them. They might have more. And chumping with the wall? Interesting. And, oh, pathing their own wall. Alright. Well, this leaves Wrath of God as their option, but then they've got Liliana to deal with. We've got follow-up plays. Seems alright. Prismatic Vista, huh? Alright, well, let's go Snap Thoughtseize and then make our decision with Liliana after that. Another Jace, which they can cast. Narset to Fairy Path. Alright. We're taking the Jace, I guess. And we'll pitch our land. We're just going to try to operate on 3 lands here, keep our gas in hand. There goes their Teferi. Here comes their Narset. Gideon Jura. Yep. Let's attack. Alright, I'll get green here, I guess. Might not matter much. I'm going to cast a Serum. Abrupt Decay, Snapcaster Mage. We're topping both. And that leaves us some freedom to tick up here, pitch the trophy because we can snap it back and play the Scooz. There might be other lines, but I'm too far behind on the clock to really... Ooh, there goes their Jura. Interesting. To really think them through. So we've got... the opponent about to cast a big Planeswalker, one assumes, since they pitched the Gideon. Angrath. Wow. Extremely good against our Liliana that's about to ult. Needless to say, but we do have the ability to come back from this. And yeah, it's just going to be snap. They didn't activate Narset. Alright. Trophy the Narsets. Tick up with the Lily, force them to find something this turn, basically. There was an argument to trophying Angrath simply because we have an Abrupt Decay on the top of our library that can hit the Narset, but I don't think that's correct. Narset just digs them to another card, so... They found interplanar beacon. Nice. Alright, well. Might as well decay that Oath of Nissa. Alrighty. Top deck wars, but we've got the Lily on 6, which to be fair is not that great. Not as great as it might seem against an army of Super Friends, but they're just going to scoop to it. Beautiful. Alright guys, so that was kind of a painfully grindy one. I actually got to get up and use the bathroom after that one. But yeah, hey, we got there. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. See you in just a moment for round 3. And we have returned. Let's find an opponent. Oh, immediately finds an opponent for round 3. That was an interesting game. Definitely did not feel as though we curved out perfectly in any of the games, but we did see a nice variety of what the Sultai deck has to offer, including the Permission, which was pretty clutch during one of those wins anyway, and we will continue to just get really bad. I mean, this was... yeah, what are you going to do? Really bad openers. Mulligan, and now we've got a keeper. It's a definite keeper. The thing to do in terms of being the least redundant would be to put a Liliana to the bottom. And I think I might still do that, but if we're against an interactive deck, we get punished for that. Then again, if we're against an interactive deck, Hexdrinker and Trophy are both pretty good as well. So sure, I guess we're keeping... I mean, we're definitely keeping... I guess we're putting a Lily to the bottom. But I don't think it's necessarily the most obvious decision. And we'll just have to see how it goes. But right now we do have a curve. We do have a curve of sorts. Again, we're seeing a lot of trophies in our opening hands, too. I don't want to sell this deck short. I just don't think we're seeing the very best opening hands, nor the very best curve outs, compared to what this deck's capable of on paper. My unfamiliarity with it is definitely not helping either, but we have managed to secure at least one win. And there's every reason to believe we can keep doing that. We're against a Steam Vents deck, usually Phoenix or Storm these days, but could be Jeskai control as well. Okay, sleight of hand. Phoenix or Storm confirmed. Little tough to tell, because both decks do play that card, but maybe a little more likely in Storm at the moment. So, Trophy's pretty bad right now. Think I'm just going to level up the Hexdrinker, just deciding whether or not to show them blue. Probably doesn't matter, so sure, we'll go get an island here. Thin out the deck just a tad. Send in the Hexy. Alright, so if they play a Mana Bear this turn, we have the Liliana Edict, and then from there, you know, things could get good for us. If they've got a backup Mana Bear, things might not be so good for us. It's Monomorphos. Interesting. are they able to just put some value together right here, right now? Or are they just digging for perhaps a cost reducer? No. Okay, Faithless Looting. Alright. Looks like it is Phoenix after all, huh? Okay, there's the Phoenix in the yard. Flame Slash for the Hex Drinker. Getting the Phoenix back. Yeah, that sucks. Definitely not great. We draw Fatal Push. Alright, so this time I'm going to try to use my Liliana a little bit more cagely. Again, in round 1, I think it was fine to Edict the Phoenix because they only had 2 cards in hand. Now they're going to have 6, right? They're going to have 6, so even if we play Liliana Edict, they're pretty likely to be able to buy it back. So instead, I'm going to fetch and push. The awkwardness here is that Swamp is the land I least want, but if I don't get... Well, no, I'm shields down with Trophy anyway, so let's just get a Forest, in case we draw Skoos, I guess. And push your Phoenix. Alright, so now it's going to be... Ooh, Tarmogoyf. I think we'll play that instead. I was going to say it's time for the Liliana. I think I would rather play Tarmogoyf here. Lets us hold up Trophy, lets us have a higher chance of catching them with like an Edict on a Thing in the Ice, or maybe just like asymmetrical discard. It is nice, though, to run them out of resources with the Liliana. There's no getting around that. Like, the earlier you can start doing that safely, the better. But I believe Tarmogoyf to be the better play here, regardless of that. I can't see the opponent just passing through a turn here. Can't see it happening. Thought Scour, milling Opt and Lightning Bolt. They've got another Opt to use, sure. Going top. And paying the price with the Fiery Islet here. For keeping us in suspense, OP. Magmatic Sinkhole. Okay. Little brutal. And now I guess we're just going to Trophy the Phoenix again, huh? Feels bad, but we're going to go on the Liliana take-up plan next turn anyway, so hopefully we draw something castable alongside that, like a Hex Drinker would be cool. Or just another land. Discard won't do it because we don't have triple black. Oh my god, why did I say that out loud? Oh, that's so annoying. That's so annoying. I think we actually have to use the discard. Like 5 cards in hand, they're just likely to get that Phoenix back again. We keep putting off the Liliana, but... Finale of Promise, bunch of cantrips, a bolt, and a Thing in the Ice, which we can Edict. Yeah, I'm going to take the 2-for-1, take the Finale. Alright. Pretty glad I cast that Inquisition, not gonna lie. Again, kind of wish we'd had something castable instead, but really that might not have ended so well for us. Thing in the Ice into Serum Visions, into probably Sleight of Hand. Unless they find some free spells, they're not gonna flip it this turn. Or like land Monomorphos. Even if they do, whatever. Looting. no. That could be bad. That could be so bad. I mean, it is just so bad anyway, because they get the one Phoenix back, but it could be even worse. This is forcing us to find, like, a Fatal Push off the top now. Okay, well, they just loot away a couple lands they don't need, but the Phoenix is going to line up pretty well against our Liliana Edict here. Polluted Delta. Sometimes it's just not meant to be, my friends. We are dead. They will bolt us and then flip the thing, but we'll make them do it. And we'll go to game 2. Yeah, these red decks, man. These red decks, I don't think... I mean, correct me if I'm wrong for those who play the deck. I don't think this is what we want to see on Sultai compared to us being on Rock. The Painful Mana base really punishes us a lot more, and then, like, the blue cards don't necessarily add that much. I think, I think actually Sultai was arguably able to grind better through that Superfriends deck than maybe Rock would have been, but we're getting put to the test, that's for sure, with some of these Phoenix-based decks. So, Nile Spellbomb seems good. I guess we want Ashiok as well to keep the graveyard clear as a supplementary force. Collective Brutality, not the greatest, but I don't think we want to go so far as to play this Permission. So I'm not probably bringing in more than these 6, but let's see what we don't like. Lots of matches where Dead of Winter hasn't been the best. Now, what do we think of it here? I think it's still probably pretty bad. Pretty bad against the Haste of the Phoenixes, pretty bad against a flip thing. Obviously, there are windows where it's okay, but I think we can probably do better. So, how do we rate Ice-fang Coatl here? It's a tricky one to rate. Seems okay, you know. Seems okay, I guess, on the whole. Guess we're probably just moving mostly away from Thoughtseizes. This tracker is a bit slow and a bit clunky. Let's just say we're bringing in all these 6, and then what do we want to do? If we cut those 4, we could then be pretty close to good. Yeah, I like this. Do we trim a Coatl? Or is there something else we like a little bit less? Coatl is actually, the trade-off at advantage is pretty nice, even if some of their threats are recursive. Alright, I'm inclined to cut a Serum Visions or a Hex Drinker here, I think. I think we're going to leave in all of our removal. Let's cut a Hex Drinker. We have just not had the luxury to make Hex Drinker good at all in this league yet, and, between their bounce effects and their bolts and their maybe spells like Lava Dart, stuff like that, I could see Hex Drinker being a bit of a liability. Alright, let's take the play, let's get a couple wins here. Yeah, hand looks fine to me, so we can go turn 1 Island Serum Visions, turn 2 Coatl with this hand. I can keep that. Alright, so we have a Liliana of the Veil in our hand. That means our curve is Coatl into Liliana. And what does that mean? Do we want the Snapcaster Mage? Yeah, probably. So, even though Trophy is kind of awkward as far as removal goes, should be good enough to lean on here. So we'll bottom a Forest, top the Snap. Seems fine. This is very weak to a complete nut draw based on Phoenixes, but their value game is strong enough that I don't think we're supposed to aggressively mulligan to graveyard hit. Like, they can just as easily beat us with a more value-based progression involving Phoenixes, or with a quick thing in the ice, or with sideboard tech that's more value-oriented. Stuff like Aria of Flame, so I like keeping this. We just hope to fade the complete nut draw, right? They go top with their serum. Okay. End step, ice-fang Coatl. This card is pretty real. It's pretty cool, not gonna lie. We draw Inquisition, alright. Yeah, I definitely don't hate that draw. This basic island was actually pretty awkward because it means we cannot hold up trophy if we do Inquisition this turn, which means our turn will just be Inquisition if we do it. So for that reason, I think I'm going to make it a Liliana turn. And let's attack first with the Coatl here. We also have Trophy plus Snap Trophy to remove like things in the ice. So we don't necessarily need the Liliana for an Edict. And they are sometimes a Blood Moon deck, so I am respecting that as well. It's one reason I did get the turn 1 island. And another, yeah, I think for that reason I'm also going to pick Misty instead of Basic Forest here. You just never know. And we do have double black, we've got double green. We don't have double blue, but I don't believe that to be particularly necessary right now. And we put a Phoenix in their yard, that's never good, but it's a hazard of doing business, you know. Liliana is a good value play. Sometimes you have to take that risk. Oh, you know what, though? You know what actually might have been the play? I still like playing the Liliana. Maybe we should have held back the Coatl. Maybe we play the Liliana first, see if she resolves, see what they pitch, and then decide whether to attack with Coatl. Okay, fair enough. Sitting back with Coatl does make a little bit more sense, but on the other hand, obviously they can pretty much remove that if they want to. I assume if they've got a good enough turn to get a Phoenix back, they've got a good enough turn, one assumes, to remove a blocking Coatl, but maybe we're supposed to make them have that. Okay, so we're going to go Inquisition, snap Inquisition this turn, probably. And we know what we're going to pitch no matter what happens, so let's take the Liliana up first. We got duplicate basic forests after bottoming one, I believe. So all 3 basic forests were 3 in a row. That's just kind of the league we're having in terms of our progressions, unfortunately. So we will lead on Inquisition. Will they bolt a Coatl in response? They will not, because they have 2 bolts in hand. Well, I guess that's a good reason not to. They also have a Magmatic Sinkhole. They also have a Narset. I guess we just leave them with all their burn and all their removal. We take the Finale, we take the Narset, we take all the value away. And we might as well get in for another one, because we're losing that thing either way if they so decide. Yep, there goes Lily. If we had a different threat in hand, it might have been nice to make them spend a bolt on the Coatl that turn, but just doesn't seem necessary whatsoever. Ooh, Nile Spellbomb. It's actually a pretty good draw. And these points of damage might add up. Yeah, so the Coatl is getting across for some decent beats here. Alright, Trophy the Phoenix. Now, it will be an open question as to how to use the spell bomb. It really depends on what they show us here. Like, they've just got kind of reactive cards in hand. Obviously, Bolt can always go to face, but... So they didn't play anything we need to answer. I think we just sit on spell bomb then. Fatal Push. Alright. A part of me does want to use the spell bomb more aggressively to take advantage of this point in the game. And still the Coatl gets across. Yeah, I guess we're just playing reactively then. Opponent will opt. Opt will top. Okay. Thing in the ice. Yes. You got it. Okay, so their hand is triple burn. So they can... The question is, do we want to allow them to flip the thing so that we can get these cards back to our hand that give us repeated value? The problem with that is it just extends the game so long. So I think I'm going to Fatal Push it, but that was actually a really interesting option. I like pushing it. I like forcing them to spend these burn spells on our terms, on stuff that's already gotten value. Okay. Still, opponent being very disciplined with that stable of burn spells. Yeah. We just keep playing patiently. I'll run out that Rainforest, even though it gives up information because they could be on Blood Moon or whatever. Ooh, Faithless Looting, okay. Potentially a good top deck, but then again, now is the stage of the game where they're kind of forced to use those spells that they have as removal, right? So it's not like they're looting away removal they don't need as much. Like, and what are they going to do? Loot some Phoenixes into the yard? We've still got the spell bomb here. It's just a bit of an awkward time, actually, for them to find looting, but then again, when you're on the dig, when you're on the defense, and you have all that open mana, and some graveyard synergies, it can never be that bad to find a Faithless Looting. But an interesting decision afoot here for the opponent, without doubt. They pitch Sinkhole and a Thought Scour. So 2 bolts in hand. Here's an Aria of Flame. Yeah. Okay. So there's an example of something that is an issue for us. We're not going to crack the spell bomb quite yet. We'll see what we draw. And we'll maybe try to get another cheeky attack in first. We draw Scooze. Alright. Let's attack. Here comes the attack. Opponent's got those 2 bolts in hand, so... And this targets players or planeswalkers with Aria of Flame. Alright. Looks like the plan is to bolt the snap, leave the Coatl alone. So... we have the ability to run out the Skoos to kind of overload the opponent here. Or we would if they were tapped out, because we tap 2 for a Skoos, and then we're kind of in a stalemate with their Lightning Bolt. This turn, right? I still think we're going to. Let's go ahead and fetch a Forest first, I guess. So that was actually a pretty decent draw. So we basically have to force them to be the one to blink first with that bolt. And we're, unless they find more action, Thought Scour, okay, it's a redraw. Gets that Aria of Flame juiced up. That could be the start of a bad time for us. They just Thought Scour into a Monomorphose. This is the type of thing that's just really, really, really annoying about this deck. Alright, can you brick? Can you brick? Aria of Flame was a heck of an addition. Alright, they're paying cost for something. Flashing back the looting, sure. There's a lot to think about here. It is... I guess it's possible I should have eaten that looting, or... You know, but then we're just, like, guaranteed to lose the Skoos to Bolt. We could also have Spellbombed that away, but again, they... top deck some Phoenixes and some way to get them in the yard. That seems bad too. I don't know. I don't know. That was an interesting spot, but... Okay, so now we're going to Spellbomb. And again, we still have the 2 green sources up to respond to a Lightning Bolt, so we're not giving the opponent a window to tag our Skoos. Okay, drawing Inquisition could be good. Another Coatl. Alright, so if we Inquisition, they respond with a bolt on our Skoos. We respond by eating 2 things, even 3 things for lethal if they decide to bolt our Coatl. So I guess we just Inquisition now. Don't know what they could really have to punish us here, but I think this is correct. That's the concession, I guess so. Whew, alright, well, the opponent almost came back out of nowhere. Not really out of nowhere, you know, that the deck can rebuild well with, but they found an Aria of Flame out of nowhere, that's what I'm getting at, and, you know, looked a little sketchy there for a minute, but Nile Spellbomb, Scavenging Ooze, nice little combination to stave off their recursion at the end of the game and to get us over the line. So... we're going to be on the draw. I don't really mind 1 Thoughtseize in this matchup. It's a bit of a liability, but 1 seems okay. I'm less inclined to keep the 1 in, though, here because our mana base is more painful. But let's take a quick look at our setup. Is there anything we don't like that much? I think it's all pretty fine, right? We could just speed things up with a Thoughtseize in place of something, but I kind of like all of our 2-drops. Do we play a Thoughtseize over a Serum Visions, though? That's an interesting question on the draw. I think I'm going to. It's possible that I should be cutting, like, a Coatl instead of a Serum Visions. I just don't know. Or maybe even a Snapcaster Mage, but let's do this. Our curve is wicked low. Our curve is really, really low. That's a really nice thing about this deck. If you can get your mana to line up, you can have some crushing curve outs. We haven't been so fortunate with that this league, as I've said, but you can see the potential of the deck and the power of the deck. Opponent's keeping 7. We don't have Disruption. But until turn 3 with Ashiok. So we can go... Yeah, I think it's still a keep, though. I think it's still a keep. Coatl can hopefully keep us alive. Ashiok can, even if they get an early Phoenix, maybe we can trade with Coatl, then exile it with Ashiok. We've got Trophy and then Snap Trophy for the mid to late game. I would be much happier with a discard spell in hand or maybe with a Nile Spellbomb or something, but Fatal Push, that's okay. That's okay with me. So, we want to give ourselves the option to go turn 2 Coatl and push on this upcoming turn. I guess Polluted Delta is the thing to do, and Watery Grave lets us accomplish that pretty elegantly at the cost of being vulnerable, extremely vulnerable to a turn 3 Blood Moon. But they do have the thing. So I guess we're going to do that. Guess we're going to make him have the Blood Moon. We didn't see it last game. And to be fair, we can actually hold up Trophy this turn as well. So that is an answer to the moon. Ooh, we draw Tarmogoyf, though. Do we simply slam the Goyf? That is definitely the thing, on average, the best thing to do. Yep. I think that's so good we should be doing it at the risk of Blood Moon. Just please don't have Blood Moon. That's all we're asking. We just want an actual game, no Blood Moon. Please and thank you. Tarmogoyf is a little bit worse against these blue-red decks than he used to be because of Magmatic Sinkhole, specifically. That is a very, very good main deckable 1 or 2 of answer to the Goyf. They're fetching Basic Island, and it's not a Blood Moon, so I'm alright. Thought Scour milling over, nothing of consequence. And what else, OP? What else? We might not even want the turn 3 Ashiok right now because they don't have anything we care about in the yard, and our Goyf is getting some help from said graveyard. Mana Morphos. Alright. Had to figure a looting was to follow that up, and indeed it is. It was either a Desperation Monomorphos or a Monomorphos leading the way for a Faithless looting. So Phoenixes would of course be pretty annoying here, but just have to see. Have to see what the opponent comes up with. No Phoenixes. Is it Phenai? No Phenai? What's the plural of Phoenix? Seems like it would be the Latin-esque Phenai, but I don't know. Doesn't sound right either, does it? A Magmatic Sinkhole, speak of the devil. There you go. Well, the opponent's down to 3 cards in hand. They have very little of relevance in the graveyard. But they do have a Faithless looting. So, should we be playing Ashiok? We drew a Breeding Pool, which gives us a second blue and a second green. So we could... Yeah, I guess we fetch a Swamp and play Ashiok. I guess that's fine. It's kind of cute. Do we mill our... No, we mill the opponent, right? Target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard. Yeah, we'll mill the opponent. We got a Phoenix out of there. Pretty cool. And some, an Opt and 2 Monomorphoses. That's pretty good. Opponent's got the Narset, so the value game's pretty strong, but... They found a Saheeli? Oh boy. The value game is even stronger than expected. Are we just going to try for a mill win condition with Ashiok? How hilarious. How hilarious would that be? Alright. I guess we like leading on the Coatl here. Seeing what we can draw. Discard would be fine with me. Oh my god, I forgot to play around the Narset again. I'm sorry, guys. I play around this card when I'm not commentating. Jeez, that was bad, though. That was bad. Sometimes it's just a little too much to commentate and to do the rest. Okay, well, now what do we do? I guess we're just going to trophy the Narset, but that's pretty awful. My apologies. My apologies. Sure, let's get another basic forest. We have that in the deck still, I believe. Oh man, that feels bad though. So we just played a 1-1. And I think we are going to... this is an interesting question. Do we leave the Ashiok at 4? Because they are representing Lightning Bolt. I think we actually kind of like leaving it at 4 as a future source of graveyard hate. But man, that was miserable. I just wanted more information, and I totally forgot about the Narset. Clearly, if I had remembered, I would have just trophied the Narset, then played the Coatl for the extra draw. But, like I said, when you commentate, every now and then you just punt. Ooh, the opponent just punted back. They've activated Scalding Tarn, and Ashiok's on the field. I guess the opponent felt bad for our punt. They decided to even it out in solidarity, right? So this card's a problem. Non-creature spell makes a servo. However, I guess it's just pretty priced into the Snap trophy line. Does playing out a land play around anything? Doesn't play around Spell Pierce, so I guess not. So let's just go for it. Trophy you. So notably, they can search off of this trophy because it spells and abilities your opponents control. Otherwise, Ashiok would be really, really busted with things like trophy and path and field. So will the opponent do anything here to make a servo, get their value before she goes by the wayside? And I don't think they have any real targets for that -2. I wouldn't expect them to anyway, so this is literally just like a value machine, making a bunch of 1-1s. Alright, so no value whatsoever. I think we're just leaving the Ashiok on 4. Shutting down fetches, and then of course exiling future Phoenixes if they get them in the graveyard but are unable to get them back. Aria of Flame. Oh boy. Right after we spend Trophy and Snap Trophy on the Planeswalkers, I don't think we really had much of a choice. And a Thing in the Ice? Holy moly. Alright, well, we have to hope the opponent bricks on spells for those things, and we are just breaking hard, guys. We are flooding so hard, it's unbelievable. I haven't really mentioned it, but we have. Oh, okay. Tried to turn off my auto yields. I am used to sandbagging lands, but we don't have our tracker in the deck, so I should have run out that fetch land just to thin. Alright. Assassin's Trophy. Cool. Alright, I think we just trophy the Aria of Flame, thing in the ice we can beat. They bounce our Snapcaster, we go Snap Fatal Push. So, even though getting the thing out of the way would let us get the damage across a lot better, I think we're just hitting that Aria of Flame. We're already playing around Monoleak and Spell Pierce by having 3 lands out, so... And I do just wonder when I should start milling with Ashiok as a realistic win condition, but I'm not going to do it yet. We're going to leave her on for just for a little while longer. Again, they probably have just a Lightning Bolt. Another thing, I guess we don't really care about that so much, do we? Oh my god, the Flood. The Flood. Okay. Let's play out Island. What a bizarre game. Yeah, like if we could pretty much assume we're going to get 4 activations, that would be interesting, but... Alright, we have enough basics. I'm just going to go get... I'm just going to thin out the deck here. Of our last fetchable. Snapcaster Mage. I don't think we care to snap push quite yet. Doesn't really change anything. This leaves us a snap trophy if they have another Planeswalker or Aria of Flame. Or just an Arclight Phoenix. Sure, Hardcast Phoenix is a bit annoying. Is this sufficient to make us want a number 1 snap trophy and number 2 activate Ashiok? I think so, because otherwise Ashiok is just going to die to Bolt anyway. Sure. At least this way we'll get their Phoenix out of the yard. So now we only have an answer to 1 thing in the ice with Snap Push, but still think this is fine. We drew another Snapcaster Mage. Alright, interesting. Okay, let's mill the opponent. We could mill ourselves at some point, looking for more Snapcaster targets. Ooh, we get some good hits with that stuff. I like it. It might be correct to have been bluff attacking this whole time, in case we draw something that makes it actually not a bluff, The opponent won't sniff it out, right? I don't know what is in their hand, but... Again, a bizarre, bizarre game. We draw Tarmogoyf. Alright, let's begin the bluff attacks now. Bluff has been called. You got it. Are we at the point where we wish to start milling ourselves at all? Again, looking for Snapcaster Mage targets. That just seems pretty loose when they're at such a low count. Like, But is milling them at all a realistic win condition? I should have decided this before I attacked, because if I mill another removal... Alright. I'm going to mill myself after the fact. We don't get any hits. Alright. Man, these hyper-complex games, I would love these if I was on my home territory of Iraq. But here it's just like a fish out of water. But I hope I'm piloting well, my friends. I hope you are enjoying this. Some of these leagues tend to go really, really long, and we are just getting kind of the super grindy games. What can I say? Okay, opponent Thought Scours milling Serum, Visions, and Lightning Bolts. Is this the turn where they flip the things? It may very well be. Another Izzet Phoenix, okay. Attacking Ashiok. You got it? Nothing we can do. Alright, so if we end step go snap, push a thing, that's like the... I think that's actually fine. I think we're just going to go for that. We're just going to start racing them at this point. Their life total's low enough. Even if they bounce another thing, they flip the ice-fang Coatl back to our hand, that's like our floor, even if we never get another good Snapcaster target, so... Yeah, I'm going to go Snap Fatal Push here. Push a thing in the ice. Serum Visions, alright. Thoughtseize, Abrupt Decay. We'll bottom a land. We'll top the decay, seems good. Thoughtseize you. What have you got, OP? What have you got? Bolting Coatl so it doesn't get bounced. Yeah. That's pretty good. We take the Monomorphos. Okay. So, do we run out this land? Without the Coatl around anymore, I don't see the need. Alright. Opponent is dead to a Snapcaster hit. We've got 3 of them on board, to say nothing of Mr. Tarmogoyf. Opponent finds a Faithless Looting right off the top with 2 lands in hand. This could be their ticket back into the game. But even so, they need to see some really, really good stuff. They pitch, I guess, both of those lands that we knew about. Yep. Okay, so 2 fresh cards in hand. Aria of Flame. Alright. We'll gain 10. It's not that scary yet. What's their last card? Is it it's just a flashback looting. It does flip thing. But... and we have no instants to cast. And their Phoenix got bounced too, but they'll loot it back. Okay, they're tapped out, so that's the concession. Oh man, what a game! What a game! All right, I forgot to play around the Narset, but otherwise I feel like the play was pretty good there, considering how complicated that game was and how new I am to Sultai. All right, Teddy, I hope I'm not playing too badly for your standards, my friend. We are positive in the league. Ooh, this one's been taking it out of me, guys. It's been taking it out of me, though. But we're 2-1. We're 2-1, and we've seen some really good games. Really good games. And we just can't keep, like, a functional 7. We're mulling a ton. This is a mull, right? Like, it just doesn't cast any spell except Hex Drinker. Yeah, we're getting some bad luck here, I think, guys. But that's all right. We'll take the mull. Opponents are just keeping 7 all day. This is a fine keep. But what to bottom? What to bottom? So we're going to want to go turn 1 Thoughtseize. I guess we should just bottom a Misty Rainforest and hope we hit the 3rd land at some point. We can get Overgrown Tomb Thoughtseize turn 1. Have, yeah, all of our colors. Plus double black. Sure. Alright, alright. Inkmoth Nexus pass. Well, well, well. Am I glad I have a Thoughtseize in my hand? Okay, so it's Infect without a threat that's in the form of a creature, but of course they do have Inkmoth Nexus. So their hand is Mutagenic Growth, Might of Old Krosa, Blossoming Defense. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to kill the Inkmoth right now, so part of me just wants to take the Might of Old Krosa because it represents the most damage. I guess that's our play. They have another Inkmoth in hand as well. Alright, Might of Old Krosa it is. I think that might telegraph that we don't have removal, but there's not a great deal to be done about that. Ooh, Noble Hierarch. Okay. I think we have to Abrupt Decay that. That represents all kinds of good value for them. So a mistake that some people make is they'll say, oh, it's just a mana dork, they already have made their land drops, we'll let it live. But that lets them kill a lot more quickly between the Exalted trigger and just the mana development. So I believe it to be correct to kill almost any Infect creature on site, and this is no exception, but of course they immediately rip a Blighted Agent to punish us for it. Alright, so what is our play here? We drew a Prismatic Vista. That means Snapcaster into Thoughtseize is live. And is that better than waiting until next turn to go Snapcaster, Abrupt Decay the Blighted Agent? I think it is, because they have ways to protect the agent, and they have 2 other threats in the form of Nexus besides. So I think we just have to discard them out again this turn. It's nice that it'll get a clock on board as well, our Snapcaster Mage. So we have double green. Prismatic Vista will, I guess, just get a Swamp then. Snapcaster Thoughtseize you. Amusingly, our life total is down to 10 already, without taking a hit on turn 3, but hey. Okay, so mana's no longer an issue for them, so Part of me says it's just an automatic take of Blossoming Defense, but taking away mutagenic growth is actually pretty tempting because it allows them to just get more damage across by activating the manlands and then not having to pay mana. So I'm actually going to take growth because I think this is just a race, and if we draw removal, then we can sequence accordingly around the Blossoming Defense. Because right now the opponent can just fire up both creature lands and, if they have nothing else to do, attack us for 3. If they had the mutagenic growth, that would be for 5. That would mean we're dead a lot quicker. So, no blocks able to be assigned. And as expected, the opponent is shields down, so if we did draw removal here, we could use it and their defense would be rotting in hand. Sadly, that's not the case. So, what's our best play here? We can... Scooz was a terrible draw. Terrible draw. If we were on Rock, I might like the tracker into the Tar Pit because we'd be drawing to more ways to kill Inkmoth Nexus. As it is, as a pure race, is Hex Drinker just better than Tracker? We can make Hex Drinker level 2 this time around, and then if we draw an untapped land, it's still not level 8 next turn. So maybe Tireless Tracker is the better play. Hex Drinker allows us to maybe have a likelier chance of activating Tar Pit, though, doesn't it? This is tough. All right, we're just gonna race as hard as possible with Hex Drinker. I think overall it does race a little bit better, even though it's not optimal here. And again, we're just not drawing to ways main deck to kill those Inkmoth Nexi. So we just have to kind of race and hope the opponent bricks, I guess. Yeah, Scooz was a bit of a rough draw here. We just got too many threats for this matchup. Too many threats, not quite enough disruption, probably. But we have disrupted pretty well. But if we had drawn like hand disruption there, that would have been nice. Or a kill spell there would have been nice as well. Yeah, they found a Vines of Vastwood, so we're in trouble. And a mutagenic growth. Holy moly. Okay, well, that's just game. I didn't expect them to kill us this turn. I expected them to kill us next turn. Yeah, what are you going to do? Opponent ripping the gas. We are clogged up with a couple of pretty clunky threats in hand, but we, we think Infect is a fine matchup, but can't necessarily expect it to be as good game one as it gets post-side. And I don't know what Sultai brings to this matchup relative to, Sultai might be worse here than Rock or Jund as well, because we don't have Field of Ruin and we don't have the red removal. That said, let's see what we do have. We do have Plague Men, which are great, and Collective Brutality, which is definitely great as well. And then Force of Negation. I assume I should be bringing in Force of Negation here, but I don't know. Nothing else looking particularly appealing. Disdainful Stroke hitting Become Immense is cute, but that's not as played anymore, and that's not what we should be doing anyway. So, what do we like to take out here? I guess we'll leave in Dead of Winter. I could see cutting in Unearth for sure. I like the Coatls here. I mean, I like a lot of what our deck has. Coatl's great. All the core green-black interactions great. Guess we're just cutting clunky threats like Tracker and Scooz. I mean, we only have 4 cards to bring in, really, unless we play Force of Negation. But the problem with Force is if I bring in more cards, I'm maybe cutting away from some of the blue stuff, I think. So I don't know how good Force will even be, right? But maybe it should be in the deck. Alright, let's just cut both Scoozes, I guess. This means if we want to play 2 Forces, we have a balance to be struck between, again, leaving in the right amount of blue cards to make Force viable. And okay. We're going to trim 1 Serum Visions for a Force of Negation. Are we going to play another Force of Negation? We cut like a Hex Drinker? Or is that going too low on threats? We did bring in 3 threats with Plague Man, though. Alright. I have found Hex Drinker, maybe it's just this biased sample size, I found Hex Drinker to be a little bit clunky in this Sultai variant, because we do have things like Snapcaster Mage that we really like to use our mana for, and all that. Maybe, yeah, admittedly, this is a 3 bordering on 4 match sample size, so I don't know if trimming a Hex Drinker like this, as I have been doing, is necessarily correct, but I kind of like it there. I guess Force of Negation should be in our deck, right? And we'll play... Man, it would be sweet if we could just keep, like, decent 7s. Do we keep this? This hand's great if we hit lands. But we've effectively got 3 3-drops in it, with that Snapcaster Mage included among those, so I guess we have to mull. But man, this is annoying. So many mulligans. And this is a terrible 6. Opponent will keep 7. Yeah, we have to try to do better on 5, I think. I don't think we're beating them with this. Okay, this is a fine... I guess a fine 5 we're keeping, and we're going to bottom Force and a land. And we're just going to hope Plague Man into Liliana absolutely wrecks them, which, to be fair, it really could, especially on the play. It really, really could. Of course, this was in our opening hand, plus a bunch of interaction, right? But we only had 1 land, so we couldn't keep it. Okay, Fatal Push, good draw. So, if they play like a Blighted Agent here, maybe we push the agent, then name Blink Moth with the Plague Engineer. Okay, or they're just going to attack. I'm going to push. And then we'll get Overgrown Tomb. And we draw Snow-Covered Swamp. Alright, I think that's our cue to play Liliana here. Do we need to get like a green-blue here with the Verdant Catacombs? I guess there's no real reason not to. I guess we kind of do need to get that for Creeping Tar Pit. Sure. Alright, can the Liliana and Plague Man tandem carry this game after a mull to 5 against an Infect deck keeping 7? We'll see. Okay, so yeah, opponent is clearly heavy on mana sources between their attack with the Ink Moth, which would be risky if they weren't last turn, and pitching a forest to the Liliana here. They got another forest where that came from. Wow. And just an attack with the Ink Moth Nexus is all they can muster, huh? Ooh, Mutagenic Growth. Yeah. Okay. Prismatic Vista. Okay, I guess we're at the stage of the game where we just name Blinkmoth. The problem is they could have Dismember. So if I didn't have a Creeping Tar Pit on the field, I would tick up the Liliana first in hopes that they pitch a Dismember. And then I would play the Plague Man. And that would be value negative, but it would be a better way to play around a potential Dismember. But since we have the Creeping Tar Pit on the field, which is a realistic win condition, I think we have to play the Vista out first, but that is worth noting. Blinkmoth. Alright, so if the opponent has, Dismember, then that is what it is. But we're really putting together a decent showing after the mulligan. Noble Hierarch, you got it. And no way to remove the Plague Man. Nice. Inquisition of Kozilek. Sure. Seems good. Concession. Alright, guys, we got them on the mulligan to 5 thanks to the power of 2 of my very favorite cards in the archetype, Plague Engineer, Liliana the Veil. I'm happy with that. And let's try to keep like a really good 7 this time around. How about that? Yeah, that one felt good. Now, what do we think about our sideboarding here on the draw? A lot of our stuff does look worse on the draw, but I kind of like trimming around the edges like we did. Yeah, let's just run it back. A part of me does want to keep in the Unearth because the floor on 1 Unearth just as a cycler is high enough, and then, buying back a Plague Engineer after they Dismember it is obviously a feel-good moment in my head. I don't know. I think the cards we have in here are better, though, right? In any case, maybe it'll be the opponent's turn to mull to 5. That would be nice. We could use a break like that. We could really use a break. Opponent has disconnected. All right. Well, that might be a way to get the win as well. Let's go ahead and write down the time, and maybe I'll have to edit this part out of the video. 2010, see you in a bit. Okay, sorry, we're back. I just got up for a moment and the opponent has returned, so it's been under a minute. I guess we don't need to edit that out. Opponent keeps 7. Our hand's good. We'll keep it. Opponent says Weird Bug. Okay, turn 1 Glistener Elf. Pendlehaven Glistener Elf. Alright, so... Turn 1 Watery Grave Inquisition does have us on track to go turn 2 Decay, turn 3 Lily or Plague Man, so I guess that's the play. Really wish they did not have a turn 1 creature this time, but... Wow. Okay, so opponent's got a couple copies of Veil of Summer. Draw a card if an opponent has cast a blue or black spell this turn. Spells you control can't be countered. You and permanents you control gain hexproof from blue and from black until end of turn. That's very good. But they have 2 copies of it. It might be worth just kind of forcing them to play reactively with those. And killing the Glistener Elf with Plague Engineer. But they do represent like a free cantrip if nothing else, so... Tough call. I think I am going to take away a Veil of Summer, but not super happy about it. Their hand is just stacked. We just really have to hope they don't hit a second land. Mutagenic Growth. Makes sense. Alright, so we can play Hex Drinker here, and we can level it up, but I think I'd rather just not worry so much about that and hold up this Watery Grave to make them play a little bit worse. Play around it. And I think we're just going to assign a block here next turn. Yeah, so if we had leveled it up, maybe they cantrip with Veil of Summer. Yeah, assigning a block actually really sucks against Pendelhaven. Ugh, they just have kind of everything here. But maybe I'm fine with that. Maybe I just want not to die this turn. Huh. Realistically, though, they're not going to kill us this turn. I guess we'll take this hit. Leave Hex Drinker around. Pendelhaven. Heck of a card in context of that hand. Another Mutagenic Growth. Those are so good, again, in context of them on this one-lander, but the Plague Man, guys, is going to save us. Alright, Plague Man naming Elf. They'll get to cantrip here with Veil of Summer if they want, but none of that saves this Glistener Elf. Yep. The Plague Man. Absolutely incredible. Now, they could have a third Veil of Summer or something, but now we're a lot safer to play things like Liliana and Abrupt Decay, and indeed discard if we have it. Sweet, yeah. Another Lilia, I guess that's our play. I guess we'll just pitch a land here, keep another Liliana around. What land? What? Fetching is such... so interesting on this deck. I guess we're going to just fetch and shock. So it doesn't really matter. Scale up. Now, opponent could fetch a Dryad Arbor with this Windswept Heath. Okay. Yeah, let's just be mana efficient. We'll just level up our Hex Drinker here, I guess. Do we need a second blue for any reason? I guess we should get it. because we do have Force of Negation in the deck. So opponent's hand is Vines of Vastwood, Blossoming Defense, and then going to be 2 unknowns once they draw. This might be a Dryad Arbor, it sure is. Okay. I still don't mind attacking there because we do have another Liliana in hand. If they want to spend resources to get her out of the way, I guess that's pretty fine with me. And they are at a very low life total, so I think even our 2-2 and 2-1 beats are extremely relevant. Abrupt Decay, Abrupt Decay, definitely looking like a good failsafe here. Okay, that can kill their Noble Hierarch, for example. Alright, so this is a good play from the opponent, it's a good attack, but we're going to get to do a little bit of everything next turn. Oh, and we draw Tarmogoyf, so do we, I guess we decay the Hierarch, Edict the Arbor. Play the Goyf. That's going to do it. All right, guys, we did it. We did it. That was how it should be with BGX against Sultai. It's a little sketchy early on. And then who shows up? The Plague Man. That's who shows up. The Plague Man absolutely wrecking them. They might have another elf stuck in hand for all we know. Liliana, the Veil, once again, very nice. Good disruption. Good. Well, good enough clocking, right? Good enough, but seems all right. But we got there. And hey, we cashed the league, so one more game to go, one more round to go. And after a really rough introduction to this league at the hands of Mono Red Prowess, and despite us having a lot of mulligans and a lot of less than ideal 6s and 5s that we've kept, we're doing it. So guys, you're seeing the power of BGX yet again on this channel, and you know that this time, at least, it's not due to the pilot, because I think I'm a pretty good rock player, but I also know that I am not playing this Sultai deck optimally. There's just no way I am. People underrate the ceiling, the skill ceiling of mid-range decks in general. They truly do. I firmly believe this. And therefore, when I pick up a new variant like Jund or Sultai, you will, by definition, not be seeing play that's really anywhere near optimized. So despite that, and despite the things that I said, not necessarily seeing the best matchups to display the power of the blue splash, and also lots of mulligans today, we're still doing well. We are still squeaking our way into wins, and it is 3-1 right now, playing for the 4-1. Never thought we'd come this far after that round 1 stomping, but here we are, guys. Now let's get a nice, strong curve out here, shall we? Let's get a hand that we don't have to mulligan, and we're going to feel great about keeping. Winning the die roll. Step 1. Look at that. This hand is sweet. The only thing we can't do is go turn 1 Swamp Thoughtseize. We kind of have to shock in the Watery Grave, I think, but I accept. That's so we can play the Coatl on turn 2. Probably think they're against Shadow with a Watery Grave Thoughtseize opener. And it's another one of these red decks, and it is, I guess, just Phoenix again, so I don't care about the bolts. I care a lot about Monomorphos, because that card is just really good, but maybe we're supposed to just take the Serum Visions here. I could buy it. Let's do it. But that's a hell of a hand, not gonna lie. It's a heck of a hand. And if the opponent uses this looting to make land drops, well then maybe they're at least pitching some value out of their hand one way or another. The nightmare is that they find, a Phoenix and a land off of these 2 draws, basically. They pitch Thing and Bolts. Alright. So presumably they have indeed hit a second land. Yeah, and we had a land-heavy keep, and now we're kind of flooding out. Starting to, anyway, but hopefully Coatl can remedy that. I really like the flash on this thing. I like the design of these modern versions of Legacy staples, in that they're clearly less powerful overall, but they're actually not strictly worse. They're more powerful in a couple different ways, usually. If you look like Giver of Runes or Coatl, I do kind of like the design, I have to confess. Let's get our forest, and let's get our snow snake onto the field. More lands. Okay, we drew Snapcaster Mage. Are we in the market for Snap Thoughtseize? We probably are, even though Thoughtseize is, it's been pretty rough to cast it twice, and also to Fetch Shock, but I guess that's probably the correct thing to do. We'd be in much better shape if that had been an Inquisition, but... Alright, so they do have their 3rd land, Aria of Flame, Lightning Bolt, Monomorphose. Pretty priced into the Aria. Again, it really hurts to leave Monomorphoses in hand, but pretty priced into taking that Aria. If we didn't take that, we would be putting ourselves in a position where we basically have to draw. Ooh, they will bolt Snapcaster, interesting. Where we basically have to draw Decayer Trophy. That's not where we want to be. Okay, opponent did bolt our Snapcaster, and they get a Phoenix in the yard by flashing back a looting. Oh, and our Flood continues like absolute mad. So let's main phase a Coatl here. Find some action. A Tarmogoyf. We'll take it. Okay, now we might have a realistic chance of erasing them, actually. Now we want to fade a thing in the ice, unless we, of course, draw an answer to it. But Goyf is a pretty significant game changer here. What I don't really... I think I am also going to be trading a Coatl for a bird pretty aggressively, because one imagines they'll be emptying their hand mostly to get it back this turn. And just, like, gaining 3 life at this stage of the game is pretty relevant. But we'll see what they do. Okay, Monomorphose into Serum Visions, so the Phoenix is for sure coming back, not that we had much doubt. They went 1 top, 1 bottom. Yeah, more Serums. Pretty good, pretty good. They go top with that other Serum and a looting. Oh no. Oh no, please no more Phoenixes. 1 more. That's still pretty bad, but at least it wasn't 2 more, right? Yeah, now we definitely have to trade off. Okay, tireless tracker. Sure. Just main facing this. Even though Bolt might not go to tracker at this stage of the game anyway, I still think it's correct. And we'll just get yet another forest. This way we're bluffing Decay and Trophy. And we have all the Scooz mana in the world in case the game goes that long, but attacking with the Coatl there also, I hope, forces them into a defensive posture, because if they have a turn where they buy back another Phoenix, or more, and have a Bolt in the mix, I don't think I'm winning the game anyway. So that's the reasoning behind that. We're also bluffing pretty well, and yeah, they go for the Thing plan, maybe rather than a flurry of spells. Again, maybe it would be correct to just hold back the Coatl anyway, but forcing them into the defensive posture with our ability to draw, we're going to see at least 3 cards by the time next turn comes around. I kind of like it. Yeah, okay, so I think if our opponent had an option, maybe our attack forced them to, or incentivized them to bluff, to respect our bluff a little bit and to play defensively. But let's just find some kill spells here. We find a Serum Visions and an Abrupt Decay. Alright, so it's actually a difficult sequencing decision here, because if we want to fetch for another blue source, that's going to ruin our Serum Vision scry. I don't think we can afford to, so I think we just open on the Serum here. We drew a Scooz. Alright, I'm going to bottom both of these. What does Scooz do for us if we just go... Well, the opponent's going to be forced to chump. Alright, so we have 2 basic swamps in our deck. I guess we do have another. Let's just make sure that's correct first. Yep. Alright, decay your thing. Attack with everything. Now, maybe they block tracker here. No, they just chump the Goyf. Pretty perfect. Now we eat at least 1 Phoenix. Should be pretty safe here. You know, they could kill us, don't get me wrong. They could definitely kill us, but I think we're as safe as we realistically can be, like, instead of just, like, frantically cracking even more clues. I think going Serum into Decay, into Scooz, into eating a Phoenix is as safe as we're realistically going to be. Finale of Promise. Oh boy. What a card to have in the hand at this stage of the game. Okay, that's pretty terrifying. If they got another Phoenix, yeah. We'll see. We'll just have to see. The opponent does still need to have a few other things for sure. I guess another land, probably. That's the concession. Alright. Ooh, that was hairy. That was hairy. That was scary. But we did it. Alright. Interesting game 1. And, let's see if we can remember our sideboarding protocol. I believe it was these 6 cards and weren't particularly interested in anything else. And I think we were saying 3 Thoughtseize out on the play, maybe leave 1 in on the draw. And we are going to be on the draw, so let's consider that. We'll cut Tracker, we'll cut Dead of Winter. I think we cut a Hex Drinker, and then what? What was competing with Thoughtseize? Was it just a Serum Visions? I believe so. So yeah, let's go with what worked for us last time. We'll trim a Serum Visions. We'll leave a Thoughtseize, a miserly 1 of Thoughtseize in on the draw. And then if they do take us to Game 3, we'll bring back the Serum. Take out the Thoughtseize. All right, guys. Well, this league is definitely been on the good side of results, no matter what happens here. But let's try to get that 4-1, shall we? Opponents have not mulliganed much, if at all, this whole league. Why don't you take them all? They're taking their 7. Okay. Do we keep this? I'm kind of tempted to, because Nile Spellbomb's very good, and the rest of our hand is very good, and we are on the draw. I've been very diligent with mulling my 1-landers. I'm going to keep this 1-lander. We're going to see how it goes. Hopefully we're going to get lucky and just hit our 2nd land off the top and all will be well, but we're going to keep it. Tarmogoyf is amazing in the matchup. Our hand is just great. I think this is a justifiable 1-lander keep. Come on, land. Any land. Any land will do. Another Nile Spellbomb. It's not the worst. So we're going to get Overgrown Tomb here, run out of Spellbomb. That way we can just cantrip next turn if we need to hit land drops. And even if they have an Abrade, well, we got another Spellbomb at least. Alright, we've been unlucky enough in this league with having to mull so much that I just think we're due. I just think we're due to curve out with our lands here for once without having to mull to 6 or 5 to accomplish that. So I have faith. We'll see if the faith is justified. Thing in the ice. You got it. Okay, we draw Fatal Push. What now? I mean, it's a good draw, considering. I guess we're just going to pass. We get max punished here if the opponent is able to aggressively try to start flipping the thing and somehow has permission to deny our Fatal Push, but does not seem very likely at all. Opening with Island into Serum Visions, going top. Don't they always? Don't they always? Alright, let's just go for the push, I guess. Sure, we got him. Cool. Alright, land drop. Land drop. Thought Scouring us, milling over Ashiok and a land. Okay. Tilt City. Do we just go for it now? Or do we just keep our holding pattern for one more turn? Unbelievable. One more turn, holding pattern. I'm probably going to cantrip on the end step, even if they don't put Phoenixes in the yard. We just don't want to get to the point where we're beginning to discard to hand size. That's awful. Saheeli. Sure. What a terrible time to have missed land drops for a few turns running. Okay. Okay, okay. Alright, time to cantrip. Looking for lands. Oh my god. Inquisition and Tarmogoyf. What the heck? Alright, I think we have to Inquisition here. It's good against Saheeli. It's good against Phoenix Train. And they just have triple cantrips in hand, obviously. Which one do we take? So we just take Serum. Unbelievable. Well, what do we pick here? Snapcaster. Ah, this sucks. Well, my faith was woefully misguided, wasn't it? I really do think that's a pretty fine keep. Like we're on the draw. We've got chance after chance after chance to hit the lands, and they just find more planeswalkers. So we're pretty screwed, I would imagine. Like, we hit the second land now, and then what? Play Tarmogoyf, maybe? Fatal Push, are you kidding me? Ridiculous. So, you know, even if we just got stuck on 2 lands forever, I think we'd be in great shape. But, stuck on 1, not gonna cut it. Sure. Finds the looting. We don't even have a Maelstrom Pulse in this deck, so we're going to struggle to deal with these servos. That's without question. They picked Aria Flame. That can't be good. That can't be good. Yep, Monomorphose 2. Well, you know, forgive me for thinking the opening hand odds would even out over time. I guess that's not going to happen today. Oh my goodness, like, could you draw it up any better? Yeah, I think, as far as I can tell, we're just dead, even if we hit a land this turn. But we'll give it our best shot here. Okay. So, yeah. 7 whiffs on a land. Because we also cantripped once with the Nile Spellbomb. Can't really do much about that, so we're going to be on the play. Let's take out the Thoughtseize. Let's put back our Serum Visions, which is going to make a 1-land keep better if we are forced into doing that again, and let's go for it. Alright, so that feels bad to give up kind of a free win there, but again, you heard my explanation for it. I think statistically we're quite likely to hit it within the first 2, certainly the first 3 draws, but didn't happen. And let's make it happen this time. Fatal Push, ice-fang, Coatl. Well, I'm mulligan shy. Sure, I guess we're keeping this, but I don't really know what I'm supposed to make of it. Opponent keeping 7 as well, so pretty rough. But we have an out to the thing plan. Hopefully Coatl can find us some further action. Turn 1 looting is kind of exactly what we didn't want to see. They just go all out for the Arclight Phoenix plan. Holy crap. Okay. Yeah. So Let's hope they just don't get the Phoenixes back this turn. If they're threatening... Oh my god. Turn 2... Turn 1 looting, pitching 2 Phoenixes. Turn 2 Monomorphose into double cantrip, I'm sure. Keeping 7. Yeah. So this is terrible. Now what we need to do is play the Coatl and hope for surgical extraction exactly off of the draw. Come on, we deserve it. We deserve it. Surgical one time. One time surgical? We can do it. Show me the surgical. Oh my god, another land. Guys, what is going on? What's going on? Okay, we're trading off aggressively here. Another Coatl. Well. Oh yeah, we didn't even have Death Touch. Okay. Okay, you got it. So, I mean, honestly, making that chump block is still fairly viable there. But I will admit to forgetting about that. So do we just push in Trophy here? We're pretty cold to Aria Flame if so. So, therefore I don't think we do. I think I'm going to push one of them and then end step Coatl for value. We'll take one hit here. Save our trophy. And see what else the opponent has. They still got a full grip. Saheeli. Yep. Alrighty, Coatl it is. And Serum Vision's Inquisition of Kozilek. Alright, these are some good draws. So what we're going to want to do is, I guess, fetch first so we can then Serum, then Inquisition, then probably Trophy Saheeli, but we'll have to see. We have double black. I would like double green. Do we just get a forest with Vista? Then we don't have double blue, but we can get it next turn. I think that's probably fine. Getting as many green sources for Skoos as possible is nice in case we find one. So if we fetch forest with Vista, we get to go... we can't do that. We need to get black here? Is that right? Or we need to get blue with our fetch. So if we Prismatic Vista for Island, we can go Island the Serum, Swamp, Inquisition, and then Watery Grave and Forest can cast Trophy. Alright, so I guess we're kind of priced into the Island. I don't like that as much, but I think that's what we've got to do. Okay, there's our Skoos. Goyf as well. So let's bottom the Tomb. Pretty much have to top the Skoos, right? I know it's a little slow at this stage of proceedings, but we'll top it anyway. And then we'll Inquisition. Lightning Bolt, Monomorphose. Holy moly, Chandra Torch of Defiance, and we're going to give them the mana if we Trophy Saheeli. And another Phoenix and a Sinkhole. We're in deep trouble. Think we're just dead? Saheeli will make a servo even if they... Alright. So let's... I think we have to leave the Saheeli and hope they don't hit their fourth land. So let's take Monomorphose. And let's play the Goyf. I understand that Goyf dies to Sinkhole, but still think that's correct to play it here. And is it even worth pressuring Saheeli, or do we just have to try to trade off with Phoenix and then eat it with Skoos next turn? I think we have to stay back. Man, the opponent's draw's been so strong here. They hit their 4th land anyway? No! Come on. And they don't even choose to play the Chandra. It's just looting into Sinkhole this turn, I guess. And we don't even have that many green sources for Skoos, unfortunately, because we did have to fetch the island last turn. We could have fetched and Shocked, I guess, and got a breeding pool, but that seems loose. Yep. And they've got the Chandra still coming down. Man, this is horrid. Alright, we'll take that trade. We got our Skoos. Like, Skoos just dies to Lightning Bolt, too. But we've got to play it. We'll get our forest now. We'll see what the opponent does. The nightmare is that they have another land to bolt the Skoos and then play a Chandra, and we kind of really wish we had our Assassin's Trophy, but we'll have that next turn, of course, but we want to be mana efficient in case we draw something great here on the upcoming turn, but I don't really know what we could have at this stage of the game. The opponent's just, like, really their one unknown in hand was a cantrip. They found another cantrip off of it. Sometimes you just can't do much. Don't know if any other lands we could have taken here would possibly have influenced the course of this game. They've just kind of got it all. We'll eat a Phoenix. Yeah, the mana base here definitely hurting us in this matchup, and unfortunately we've faced Phoenix variants 3 times, so I think I think it's just not our day. I say not our day, like we're gonna go 3-2. That's totally fine for a first run out, but you can see the potential in this deck for much more. All right, we draw a Creeping Tar Pit. We're good and dead. We are good and dead. So feels real bad there because we didn't do anything game 2. We kept a 1-lander with a lot of good payoffs and a couple cantrips in the forms of Nile Spellbomb. 7 draw steps, we never hit the second land. And then there in game 3, we had a respectable chance, I guess. Not a very good hand, but a functional one, and the opponent's hand was just way too strong to overcome. But you know what? That was a pretty cool league regardless. Just kind of ended on a bit of a rough note, but look, we faced Phoenix 3 times, like I said. We faced Phoenix variants. I don't think we want to face those relative to Rock, which is what I know and love. It's the only thing I can compare it to with some authority. Yes, we have some nice upsides, like Snap Surgical is actually quite nice in some spots, but even that, a little bit cuter than like OP, because really, beyond Phoenix these days, the surgical targets are not that numerous. Like, they play a little bit more above ground with Aria Flame and stuff than they used to, so even that's only okay compared to the painless mana base of the Rock and all that, but and the higher density of green sources for Scavenging Ooze. So I do not think we saw the matchups we want to see with Sultai. I also don't necessarily think that the blue splash adds that much against Infect, again, when you compare it to Field of Ruin out of Rock and the red interaction and Clock with Jund. The only place we might have really benefited from specifically being on Sultai in this league was against the Superfriends deck in round 2. So obviously Sultai has a ton of grinding power with Snapcaster Mage. Serum Visions is good when the games go along because we can afford the tempo loss. And ice-fang Coatl, of course, able to pressure the Planeswalkers and able to keep churning through the deck. So I think Sultai has a lot more potential than we were able to realize today due to a combination of matchups, number one, bad luck with opening hands and with mulligans, and to a certain degree with progressions, number 2, and pilot error, number 3. I definitely made a couple misplays. I don't think it was too bad, but I did neglect to play around Teferi pretty significantly in round 2, game 1, and I did forget about the Narset as well, the Narset passive. So couple cases of pilot error due to being in new territory, and then maybe some other stuff I didn't see. So as always, my friends, you can let me know about that. But you can imagine, like, against decks, like against BGX Mirrors, against Grixis Control, or any Shadow variant, things like that, all of the grinding power and the trading power of Coatls and Snapcaster Mages looks really, really, really good. And then there are, we are pretty well set up against Titan Shift, for example. Ashiok, Disdainful Stroke, Force of Negation, all playing really good roles in addition to the usual suspects out of the deck. And, so I don't know. I guess we're pretty well set up against control decks, too. Like, Snapcaster Mages 2-for-1 has just got to be pretty good against control. So I just have to assume, no expert, have to assume we really didn't see the matchups we wanted to see when we're on the Sultai variant. So don't let this 3-2, not that that's a bad result for a first time out, discourage you. If you are into Sultai, I think Teddy has come up with a really good place to start iterating. Obviously, there are some issues, but I don't think they're issues with his deck building. I think they're issues with the archetype. Like, there is just inherently a tension between the power and the payoff of Prismatic Vista to get snow-covered basics versus the nature of mid-range, where we need green-black and green-blue and double black and all 3 colors on turn 1, and Skooz is a greedy boy looking for lots and lots of fuel. So you understand the inherent limitations of that, plus the pain of the mana base, plus its vulnerability to Blood Moon, which thankfully we did not see today. So I don't know that there are many ways you can mitigate that. My layman's opinion is that you just have to grit your teeth and accept it and try to build the best deck you can with all that in mind, and I think Teddy has done an excellent job here. In the warm-up games that I played, we curved out a lot better than we did in almost anything here. So once again, I regret that we were not able to show the full power of the deck, but hey, we still got there 3-2. What should I give the thumbnail treatment to? What was our best blue card? Snapcaster Mage had his moments. Maybe it is Snapcaster Mage, actually, because, the Snapcaster beats were pretty real in some of those games, and, Snap Discard was pretty nice a few times. Snap Removal was also live. I am tempted to give it to the Coatl as well. It's definitely those two. Yeah, we hardcast a Force once, no big deal. Didn't really use that. Serum Visions was okay, but it's either the Coatl or the Snap. I'll need to think about that. Need to give that one some thought, my friends, but the most feel-good moments came from the Plague Man. What else do you expect? It's the Plague Man, my new favorite card in the archetype. But we had fun. We had some decent displays. We had a super interesting game. The one that we won against Phoenix was extremely interesting. So as long as nobody minds how long this league went, I think this was pretty good content in a lot of places. Lots of real games, lots of really interesting games. And I hope that my lack of expertise was not the difference maker in any of our results. I don't think it was right here, right now, but I could be wrong. So as always, my friends, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought about the lines. I'm sure Teddy will be interested in feedback about the list, so for those Sultai players out there, if you have any suggestions, we would be happy to hear them in the comments below. Thank you once again to Teddy Kaiser for making this possible, for your generous donation, for your great feedback, and of course for letting me borrow the cards as well, which is a pretty crucial piece of the puzzle here. And thank you once again to our new Patreon supporter, Nikki Two Shoes, is an Inquisitor, and if you're enjoying this content, my friends, the regularity of it, the quality of it, admittedly a little more quality guaranteed when we're playing Rock, but hey, it can be fun to see me wonder about lines that might be more obvious to you as well, right? Then feel free to join us, patreon.com/CrimFlayerMTG. There are over 60 Patreon supporters. You could be the next. I'd love to have you, and that's the best way to give back. So thanks to everybody doing that. Thanks to everybody sub to the channel, and stay tuned because we're always keeping the focus on Rock here. We'll play more Golgari next up for you. I will talk to you soon. Hope you have a wonderful day.